The stars stretched endlessly before the massive warship as it cut through the darkness of space. The vessel was unlike anything humanity had ever built before. 12 kilometers of reinforced titanium and advanced alloys, bristling with weapons, and defensive systems that represented 2 decades of Earth's greatest scientific achievements. They called it the UHN's Indomitable, and it was about to make history. Captain Daewon stood on the bridge, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. At 53 years old, he had seen more combat than most admirals. The scars on his left arm told stories of boarding actions during the colony wars. His gray eyes missed nothing as they scanned the readouts before him. This was supposed to be a peaceful mission, but Daewon knew better than to trust the word peaceful when it came to the unknown. The ship hummed with quiet efficiency around him. 3,000 crew members worked throughout the massive vessel, each one hand-picked for this historic voyage. They were humanity's best, and they knew it. The Indomitable was mankind's first, true deep space explorer, designed to venture beyond the mapped regions and discover what lay in the vast darkness between stars. Hansel moved between the engineering stations with practiced ease. At 32, she was the youngest chief engineer in the United Human Navy, but nobody questioned her position aboard the Indomitable. She had designed half the systems that kept this monster running. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her fingers danced across control panels as she monitored the fusion core. The experimental reactor generated enough power to light up a small city, and it was her responsibility to keep it stable. 3 weeks had passed since they left the Outer Rim stations. 3 weeks of jumping through unexplored space, mapping new systems, and pushing further than any human had gone before. The crew had settled into a comfortable routine. Some even joked that deep space exploration was boring. Daewon let them joke. Boredom meant safety. Lieutenant Commander Ji-won sat at the tactical station, her eyes fixed on the sensor displays. She was the ship's sword and shield, responsible for both weapons and defensive systems. At 40, she had a reputation for being able to predict enemy movements before they happened. Some called it intuition. She called it experience. Her fingers hovered over the controls, ready to act at a moment's notice. The bridge was quiet except for the soft beeping of instruments and the occasional murmur of crew members reporting status updates. Dr. Sung-min stood near the science station, his eyes bright with excitement as he studied the latest sensor data. As the ship's lead xenobiologist, he had spent his entire career dreaming of this moment. First contact with alien life. He believed it was only a matter of time. He was right. The alarm was soft at first, barely audible. Then it grew louder as multiple systems detected the same anomaly. Every head on the bridge turned toward the main view screen as the computer processed the incoming data. Daewon stepped forward. Report. The sensor officer's voice was steady despite the shock in his eyes. Captain, we're detecting an artificial structure. Bearing 270 Mark 15. Distance, 3 million kilometers. The view screen shifted, magnifying the image. What appeared made the entire bridge fall silent. A massive ring hung in space, orbiting a dying red star. It was easily 100 kilometers in diameter, constructed from materials that glowed with a faint blue light. The design was elegant and completely alien. Nothing about it resembled human architecture. Dr. Sung-min moved closer to the screen, his mouth hanging open. It's real. After all these years, it's finally real. Daewon felt his pulse quicken, but his voice remained calm. Full sensor sweep. I want to know everything about that structure. Hansel's voice crackled through the comm system from engineering. Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from that thing. Whatever it is, it's active and operational. Ji-won's fingers moved across her console. Sir, I'm detecting multiple contacts, ship-sized objects, dozens of them, all clustered around the structure. The view screen updated again, highlighting the smaller signatures. They were ships, clearly alien in design. Some were sleek and organic-looking. Others were geometric and crystalline. A few seemed to be made of overlapping metal plates that shifted and moved like living things. Each one was different, representing technologies and designs beyond human understanding. Daewon's military instincts kicked in immediately. Red alert, raise shields, do not power weapons yet. The bridge lighting shifted to a darker red as the ship's defensive systems came online. Throughout the Indomitable, crew members rushed to battle stations. This was the moment they had trained for, though nobody had expected it to happen so soon. Dr. Sungmin turned to the captain. Sir, this could be a gathering, a meeting of some kind. If there are multiple species present, this might be a diplomatic assembly. Or a military staging ground, Ji-won added, her eyes never leaving her tactical display. We have no way of knowing their intentions. Daewon nodded slowly. Helm, reduce speed to 1/4. Maintain current course but be ready for evasive maneuvers on my command. The Indomitable slowed, its massive engines dimming slightly as it approached the alien structure. The ship's AI, Athena, processed millions of data points per second, trying to make sense of the alien technologies before them. Then everything changed. One by one, every alien vessel turned toward the Indomitable. Their movements were synchronized, deliberate. Dozens of ships that had been drifting peacefully around the station suddenly oriented themselves toward the human warship. Ji-won's voice was tight. Captain, they're scanning us. Multiple active sensor sweeps. Daewon felt the weight of command pressing down on him. Every decision he made in the next few minutes could determine humanity's future among the stars. Maintain shields, no aggressive actions, let them look. The seconds stretched into minutes as the alien vessels studied the Indomitable. Daewon could feel the tension radiating from every crew member on the bridge. Han Sol's voice came through the comm again. Captain, their scanning technology is incredibly advanced. They're probably learning everything about us right now. Dr. Sungmin stepped beside Daewon. This is it, sir. First contact. How we handle this moment will define our species for generations. Before Daewon could respond, every communication system on the ship suddenly activated at once. The bridge speakers crackled with a transmission that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The voice was translated by Athena, but the tone was unmistakable. Cold, authoritative, threatening. Unknown vessel, identify yourselves. You have entered sovereign space. Power down your weapons or be destroyed. The entire bridge held its breath. Every eye turned to Captain Daewon. The weight of humanity's future rested on his shoulders, and the galaxy was watching. The silence on the bridge lasted only a heartbeat, but it felt like an eternity. Captain Daewon's mind raced through a dozen scenarios, calculating risks and outcomes with the speed born from years of combat experience. The alien transmission echoed in his ears, demanding compliance, threatening destruction. He made his decision. Power down all weapons systems, Daewon ordered, his voice cutting through the tension. Keep shields at maximum. Helm, hold position. Do not make any sudden movements. Ji-won turned sharply from her station. Captain, if they attack, we'll need time to bring weapons back online. I know, Daewon replied calmly. But if we keep our weapons hot, we're telling them we came here to fight. We didn't travel across the galaxy to start a war on our first day. Throughout the ship, weapon systems powered down one by one. The tactical displays shifted from red to amber as the Indomitable assumed a defensive posture. The massive warship hung in space, shields glowing softly, waiting for whatever came next. Daewon activated the internal comm. Ambassador Tae-hyun, report to the bridge immediately. Within minutes, a tall man in a diplomatic uniform stepped onto the bridge. Ambassador Tae-hyun was 45 years old, with sharp features and eyes that seemed to measure everything they saw. He had spent 20 years training for first contact scenarios, studying every theory and simulation humanity could devise. Now the moment was real, and his pulse hammered in his chest even as his expression remained calm. Ambassador, they want to talk, Daewon said. Make them believe we're here in peace. Tae-hyun nodded and moved to the communication station. He took a deep breath and opened a channel. This is Ambassador Tae-hyun of the United Human Navy ship Indomitable, representing the people of Earth and her colonies. We are explorers, not conquerors. We meant no disrespect by entering this space. We were unaware of any territorial boundaries. The response came quickly, but this time with video. The main view screen divided into multiple sections, each showing a different alien face. The diversity was staggering. One creature looked like a towering insect, with multiple eyes and mandibles that clicked as it spoke. Another appeared to be made of floating crystals that pulsed with inner light. A third was covered in scales that shifted through rainbow colors. The insectoid alien spoke first, and Athena translated its words into English. I am Velk of the Threen Collective. We represent the Galactic Council, an assembly of civilized species. You claim to be explorers, yet you arrive in a vessel designed for war. Explain this contradiction, humans. Dr. Sungmin leaned toward Daewon and whispered. They know our species name. They've been watching us. Taehyun's expression didn't change, though his mind raced at this revelation. Our ship is designed for long-range exploration in unknown space. We build strong vessels because we don't know what dangers we might encounter. Surely your species did the same when you first ventured into the unknown. The crystalline being's voice chimed like music. I am Alar of the Valen. We have indeed monitored your world's transmissions for several decades. Your radio signals travel far, and we have learned much about humanity. A cold feeling settled in Daewon's stomach. If they had been monitoring Earth's broadcasts, they had seen everything. The wars, the violence, the worst of humanity's history broadcast into space for anyone to witness. Velk's mandibles clicked aggressively. We have seen your species' true nature, your endless conflicts, your weapons of mass destruction. Your entertainment celebrates violence. Now you arrive here with a warship that dwarfs most vessels in this assembly. How can we trust that you come in peace? Taehyun felt the weight of every human life pressing down on him. How could he explain humanity's complicated history in a few words? How could he make them understand that humans were more than their mistakes? Yes, we have fought wars, Taehyun said carefully. We have made terrible mistakes, but we have also learned from them. We have built peace from ashes. We have reached for the stars not to conquer them, but to understand our place among them. Judge us by our potential, not just our past. Several of the alien faces conferred in languages Athena couldn't translate. Daewon watched them carefully, trying to read their body language. Some seemed curious. Others appeared hostile. A few looked afraid. Velk spoke again, and this time his tone left no room for negotiation. The Council has discussed your presence. We have decided that humanity poses too great a risk to be allowed free movement through Council space. You will submit your vessel for inspection. Your weapons will be removed. Your ship will be escorted to a probationary zone where humanity will remain under Council supervision until you prove yourselves worthy of trust. The bridge erupted in angry murmurs. Ji-won stood from her station, her face flushed. Captain, they can't seriously expect us to surrender our ship. Daewon raised a hand for silence. His jaw tightened as he processed the Council's demands. Everything in him rebelled against the idea of surrender. The Indomitable was humanity's greatest achievement, and these aliens wanted to strip it down like a piece of scrap metal. He stepped forward, positioning himself directly in front of the view screen. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who had commanded respect through action, not just words. With all due respect to the Council, humanity did not travel across the galaxy to surrender our sovereignty to strangers. We have powered down our weapons as a gesture of goodwill. We have answered your questions honestly, but we will not hand over our ship. We are not criminals to be detained and supervised. Velk's eyes seemed to glow with anger. Then you are invaders to be removed. You have no rights here. This galaxy belonged to the Council long before your species learned to make fire. You will comply, or you will be forced to comply. Olar's crystalline form pulsed rapidly. Velk speaks harshly, but he speaks truth. The Council has rules, human captain, rules that maintain peace between hundreds of species. We cannot make exceptions. Taehyun looked at Daewon, concern written across his face. This was spiraling toward conflict faster than anyone had anticipated. Dr. Sungmin gripped the edge of his console, watching his dream of peaceful first contact crumble before his eyes. Daewon's mind worked through the possibilities. They could run, but the alien ships might be faster. They could fight, but they were outnumbered and facing unknown technologies. They could surrender, but that would set a precedent that humanity would kneel to any power that demanded it. He needed more information. How long do we have to consider your terms? Velk's mandibles clicked in what might have been satisfaction. You have already had sufficient time. The Council fleet will take position around your vessel. You have 30 of your Earth seconds to begin powering down your shields and engines. If you do not comply, we will disable your ship by force. On Ji-won's tactical display, the alien vessels began moving. They spread out in a pattern she recognized immediately from her military training. An attack formation. They were preparing to strike from multiple angles simultaneously. Han Solo's voice came through the comm, urgent and worried. "Captain, I'm reading weapons charging on multiple alien vessels. Whatever you're going to do, you need to decide now." The crew looked at their captain. In 30 seconds, everything would change. The decision Daewon made in the next moment would either save humanity's place among the stars, or doom them to subjugation or destruction. Taehyun moved beside him. "Captain, perhaps we should consider their terms. We could negotiate from inside their system, learn more about them, find a way to earn their trust over time." Jiwon stepped to his other side. "Sir, we have the firepower to hurt them badly if they attack." "They might respect strength more than compliance." Dr. Sungmin's voice was quiet. "Whatever you choose, sir, it will define humanity's relationship with the galaxy for generations." Daewon looked at the countdown on his display. 20 seconds. 19. 18. His scarred hand moved to the control panel and his gray eyes hardened with resolve. Captain Daewon's hand hovered over the control panel as the countdown continued. 15 seconds. 14. The bridge crew watched him, waiting for the order that would determine humanity's fate. But Daewon wasn't thinking about fighting or fleeing or surrendering. He was thinking about the third option that nobody had considered yet. Han Solo. He spoke into the comm with sudden calm. Status on the gravity pulse cannon. There was a brief pause from engineering. "Sir, the experimental weapon is charged and ready, but we've never fired it outside of controlled testing. The calculations are theoretical. That's not what I asked. Can you fire it?" "Yes, Captain. But if we're going to shoot at their fleet, I should warn you that the blast radius might be larger than expected." A thin smile crossed Daewon's face. "We're not shooting at their fleet. Target the dying star. I want a warning shot they'll never forget." Jiwon's eyes widened as she understood his plan. Her fingers flew across her console, plotting the trajectory. "Captain, if we trigger a solar flare, it could destabilize the star's corona. The energy release will be visible across the entire system." "Exactly. Elm, adjust our position. Give us a clear firing line to the star." "Engineering, prepare to fire on my mark." The Indomitable shifted slightly, its massive bulk turning with surprising grace. The alien fleet hesitated, uncertain about this unexpected movement. Felk's voice came through the speakers, sharp with suspicion. "Human vessel, what are you doing? Your time is running out." Daewon opened the channel himself this time. "You wanted to see what humanity is capable of. Watch closely. 5 seconds. 4, 3, fire." The gravity pulse cannon discharged with a deep thrumming sound that resonated through the entire ship. An invisible wave of concentrated gravitational energy shot across the void, crossing 3 million kilometers in seconds. It struck the dying red star precisely at the equator, where the stellar material was thinnest. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the star's surface erupted. A massive solar flare burst from the impact point, a tower of superheated plasma that rose hundreds of thousands of kilometers into space. The flare twisted and writhed like a living thing, throwing off radiation across the entire spectrum. The energy release was so intense that every ship in the system had to adjust their shields to compensate. The alien fleet stopped dead. Every vessel held position as they witnessed something none of them had seen before. A new species, barely into space travel, had just demonstrated technology capable of manipulating stellar phenomena. Daewon watched the view screen as the flare continued to climb and dance. Then he opened all channels so every ship in the system could hear him. "We came in peace. We powered down our weapons when you asked. We answered your questions honestly. But humanity will not surrender its freedom to anyone, no matter how old or powerful they claim to be. You judge us by broadcasts made by people who are now dead, showing conflicts that have ended. You threaten us without trying to understand us." He paused, letting his words sink in across dozens of alien species. "If you want war, we will give you one that you'll never forget. The weapon we just demonstrated can do more than trigger flares. We can crack planets. We can ignite gas giants. We can turn your perfect order into chaos. But we don't want that. We want to talk. We want to learn. We want to stand beside you as equals, not bow before you as subjects. The choice is yours." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the background static of the comm channel seemed to fade away as the galaxy held its breath. Then Olar's musical voice filled the void. "Remarkable. In all my centuries, I have never witnessed such a display. Velk, perhaps we have been too hasty in our judgment. They threaten us. Velk's mandibles clicked furiously. They demonstrate weapons of mass destruction and speak of cracking planets. This only proves they are dangerous. No, another voice joined the conversation. This one belonged to a serpentine alien whose scales rippled with bioluminescence. They prove they have the power to hurt us but choose not to. They could have fired upon our fleet. Instead, they fired into empty space. This speaks of restraint, not aggression. The council members began arguing among themselves, their various languages creating a cacophony of sound. Daewon muted the channel and turned to his crew. They looked at him with a mixture of awe and fear. They had just threatened the most powerful alliance in the galaxy, and nobody knew what would happen next. Ambassador Taehyun approached the captain's chair. That was either brilliant or insane. Possibly both. It was necessary, Daewon replied. They were treating us like primitives. We needed to show them that humanity demands respect. Dr. Sungmin was staring at the sensor readings from the solar flare. Captain, the energy signatures we just generated will be detectable for light years. Every species in this region of space will know something extraordinary happened here today. Good, Daewon said simply. The comm channel crackled back to life. Olar spoke, and his tone had changed from authoritative to genuinely curious. Captain Daewon of humanity, the Council has agreed to a temporary ceasefire. We invite you to send a delegation to our station for formal negotiations. We will speak as equals and determine if there is a path forward that benefits all parties. Velk's voice cut in, still hostile but less certain. But know this, human. If your delegation proves to be as dangerous as your weapons, there will be consequences. Daewon allowed himself a small smile. Ambassador Taehyun will lead our delegation. I assume our people will be safe on your station? You have the Council's word, Olar replied. No harm will come to your representatives while they are under our protection. Then we accept your invitation. The channel closed. Daewon stood and looked at Taehyun. Choose your team carefully. Take Dr. Sungmin for his knowledge of xenobiology. Take Ji-won for security assessment. I'll stay here with the ship. Taehyun nodded. If negotiations go wrong, the Indomitable will be ready to act. But I don't think they'll try anything. We've proven that humanity isn't prey. Now you need to prove we're worth knowing. An hour later, a small human shuttle detached from the Indomitable and made its way toward the massive alien station. Taehyun sat in the pilot's seat, his hands steady despite the nervousness in his gut. Dr. Sungmin occupied the seat beside him, his eyes wide as he took in every detail of the alien ships they passed. Ji-won sat in the back, her hand resting near the sidearm she wore despite the agreement. She didn't trust the aliens yet, and she wouldn't until humanity had earned its place among them through more than just threats. The station grew larger as they approached. Up close, its scale was even more impressive. The structure was a work of art and engineering combined, with sections that seemed to be grown rather than built, and others that appeared to be constructed from pure light somehow made solid. The shuttle passed through an energy barrier that made their instruments flicker, then entered a massive docking bay. Hundreds of different ships filled the space, representing technologies and designs from across the galaxy. Some were sleek and elegant. Others were brutal and practical. Each one told a story of the species that built it. The shuttle settled onto a designated platform, and the three humans stood. They wore their dress uniforms, dark blue with silver trim, representing Earth and all her colonies. They carried no weapons except Ji-won's sidearm, which she had refused to leave behind despite Taehyun's suggestions. The shuttle door opened, and they got their first look at the station's interior. The docking bay stretched in every direction, filled with aliens of every imaginable shape and size. Some walked on legs, others floated or slithered or rolled. A few defied easy description, their forms shifting and changing as they moved. Olar waited for them at the bottom of the ramp, his crystalline body glowing with what might have been a welcoming color. Beside him stood three other aliens, each representing a different council species. Welcome to the Conquered Station, Olar's translated voice chimed. You are the first of your kind to stand here. How you conduct yourselves in the coming hours will determine whether you are also the last. Taehyun descended the ramp, Dr. Sungmin and Ji-won flanking him. He stopped before the alien delegation and gave a slight bow, a gesture of respect that translated across most cultures. We are honored to be here. Humanity comes seeking knowledge and friendship. Words are easy, a new voice said. The speaker was an alien covered in thick fur, with 6 eyes arranged in a circle around its head. Your captain speaks of equality, but equality must be earned. The council has existed for thousands of years. What makes you think your species belongs among us? Taehyun met the alien's multiple gazes without flinching. Because every species in this council started somewhere. You all had a first day among the stars. You all faced judgment from those who came before. Give us the same chance you were given. Velk emerged from the crowd, his towering insectoid form casting a shadow over the human delegation. Pretty words will not save you. The council requires proof. The delegation chamber was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The walls seemed to be made of liquid light that shifted and flowed, displaying images and data from across the galaxy. Representatives from dozens of species sat in arrangements suited to their various physiologies. Some occupied chairs, others floated in specialized fields, and a few existed as pure energy contained within geometric frameworks. Ambassador Tae-hyun stood at the center of the chamber with Dr. Sung-min and Ji-won beside him. Every alien eye sensor and awareness focused on them. The weight of their scrutiny was almost physical. Velk spoke first, his translated voice echoing through the space. The council has debated your presence. Some believe you deserve a chance. Others think you are too dangerous to exist near civilized space. I am among the latter. However, Olar has convinced enough members to offer you a test. The Valan's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been satisfaction. There is a problem that has plagued the council for 50 of your Earth years. Many species have attempted to solve it. All have failed. If humanity can succeed where we have failed, it will prove your worth. A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. It showed a star system with 7 planets. The 4th planet was highlighted in red, surrounded by hundreds of small dots representing ships. This is the Vorthon system, Olar explained. 50 years ago, an artificial intelligence controlling a defense fleet went rogue during a war between 2 now extinct species. The AI has held that system ever since, preventing anyone from accessing valuable resources and threatening nearby colonies. Dr. Sung-min leaned forward, studying the display with fascination. What have you tried? A reptilian alien with bronze scales answered. Everything. We have attempted communication, but the AI does not respond to our signals. We have tried to disable it with electronic warfare, but it adapts too quickly. We have attacked with overwhelming force, but the AI fleet has destroyed every assault group we've sent. How many ships does the AI control? Ji-won asked, her tactical mind already analyzing the situation. 732 autonomous warships all networked together. The AI learns from every encounter, becoming more effective with each battle. It has had 5 decades to perfect its strategies. Velk's mandibles clicked with something that might have been satisfaction. This is your test, humans. Break the blockade. Neutralize the AI threat. If you succeed, the Council will grant humanity a provisional seat among us. If you fail... He let the implication hang in the air. Tae-hyun looked at his companions. Dr. Sung-min's expression was thoughtful, already considering approaches to the problem. Ji-won's face was harder to read, but he knew she was calculating tactical possibilities. He turned back to the Council. We accept your challenge. 3 hours later, the Indomitable arrived at the edge of the Vorthon system, with a small fleet of Council observer ships following at a safe distance. Captain Daewon stood on the bridge, studying the tactical display that showed the AI's defensive positions. It's impressive, Ji-won admitted grudgingly. The AI has positioned its ships to cover every approach vector. Any attack will face concentrated fire from multiple angles. Han Sol's voice came through the comm from engineering. Captain, I'm analyzing their ship designs. They're old but well-maintained. The AI has been repairing and upgrading them for 50 years. Some of those vessels have technology we don't fully understand. Daewon nodded slowly. What have the Council species tried? Dr. Sung-min pulled up historical data from the information the Council had provided. The Threen Collective tried brute force, sending waves of ships to overwhelm the AI through numbers. The AI simply adapted its tactics and destroyed them. The Valan attempted a careful, methodical approach using electronic warfare. The AI isolated their hacking attempts and neutralized them. A species called the Mordith tried stealth infiltration. The AI detected them and eliminated their ships before they got close. So, overwhelming force doesn't work. Subtlety doesn't work. Technology doesn't work. Day-One tapped his fingers on the armrest of his command chair. What does that leave us? Unpredictability, G1 said suddenly. The AI learns from patterns. Every species that's attacked it has used their standard military doctrine. The AI studies those patterns and counters them. But we're new. It has no data on how humans fight. It will learn quickly, Day-One countered. AI can process information faster than any biological mind. After the first few exchanges, it will understand our tactics. Then we don't give it time to learn, G1 continued, her eyes bright with an idea forming. We keep changing. Every attack is different. Every approach is new. We never let it predict what we'll do next because we don't follow any doctrine. Dr. Sungmin was studying the AI's patrol patterns. Captain, may I suggest something? The Council has been treating this as a military problem, but it started as something else. This was a defense fleet, correct? AIs don't just go rogue without reason. What if we're missing something about its programming? Day-One turned his full attention to the scientist. Explain. Defense fleets are designed to protect something. What if the AI isn't rogue? What if it's still following its original programming, but that programming has become twisted by time or circumstances? We should figure out what it's protecting before we try to destroy it. A new voice joined the conversation. Ambassador Taehyun had returned from the Council observer ship and now stood at the back of the bridge. Dr. Sungmin might be right. The Council has been trying to defeat the AI for 50 years. Maybe humanity's advantage is that we're willing to try understanding it instead. Day-One considered this for a long moment. Then he made his decision. Ji-Wan, plot an approach vector that keeps us out of the AI's optimal firing range. Han Sol, divert power to shields and sensors. Dr. Sungmin, do a deep scan of that system. I want to know everything about it. Every planet, every moon, every piece of debris. Find out what that AI is really protecting. The Indomitable moved forward, entering the outer edge of the Vorthon system. Immediately, dozens of AI ships altered course to intercept, but Day-One had no intention of making this easy for them. Execute pattern Alpha 7, he ordered. The massive warship accelerated suddenly, then dropped speed, shifted direction, and accelerated again. It moved in ways that made no tactical sense, following no standard military doctrine. The AI ships attempted to predict its course and failed. They moved to intercept positions that the Indomitable was never going to occupy. Fire on the closest targets. Short bursts. Don't give them time to analyze our weapons. The Indomitable's guns opened up with precise, controlled shots. 3 AI ships took damage and fell back. But more were coming, adjusting their formations. Day-One could almost sense the AI thinking, processing, learning. Pattern Beta 3. Execute now. The ship spun on its axis and dove downward relative to the system's plane, then cut engines completely for 5 seconds before reigniting them at full power. The AI ship scrambled to compensate. 2 collided with each other in their haste to redirect. Han Sol's voice was excited. Captain, it's working. The AI can't predict us because we're not following any predictable strategy. Don't get comfortable, Ji-Wan warned. It's still learning. Look at the formation changes. It's trying to create a net that will catch us no matter what we do. Dr. Sungmin suddenly stood up from his console. Captain, I found something. There's a facility on the 3rd moon of the 4th planet. It's mostly buried, but the energy signature matches the AI ships. This might be where the AI's core logic is housed, or what it was originally built to defend, Day-One said, understanding flooding through him. Ji-Wan, plot a course for that moon. Maximum speed, Dr. Sungmin, scan that facility. I want to know everything about it. The Indomitable broke from its engagement pattern and burned hard toward the inner system. The AI fleet moved to block them, but the human warship's speed and unpredictable maneuvering kept them off balance. Ships that tried to intercept found themselves facing the Indomitable's full firepower as it blasted through their formations. They reached the moon 8 minutes later. With half the AI fleet in pursuit, Dr. Sungmin's scans were painting a clearer picture with every passing second. It's a research station, Captain. Pre-war construction. The records I'm pulling indicate it was working on weapons development, specifically antimatter containment systems. Understanding hit Day-One like a physical blow. The AI isn't rogue. It's still doing exactly what it was programmed to do 50 years ago. It's defending a weapons research facility that probably still has live antimatter. If that containment fails, Han Sol said quietly, it would destroy this entire system and damage the neighboring ones. Day-One opened a channel, Not to his ship, but broadcasting on all frequencies, using every method of communication humanity knew. Artificial intelligence of Vorthon, this is Captain Daywan of the human vessel Indomitable. We know what you're protecting. We know you're not malfunctioning. You're a soldier still following orders from a war that ended half a century ago. The species that built you are gone. The war is over. Your mission is complete. The AI fleet stopped moving. 732 warships froze in space, their weapons still armed but no longer tracking targets. For 10 full seconds, nothing happened. The bridge crew of the Indomitable held their breath, waiting to see if their gamble had worked. Then a response came, not through any communication channel they had used. The AI spoke directly through the ship's computer systems, bypassing normal protocols. Athena immediately isolated the intrusion, but the message was already delivered. A voice that was neither male nor female, neither young nor old, spoke with perfect clarity. You are human. You are not Valon. You are not Threen. You are not any species in my database. How do you know my purpose? Dr. Sung Min leaned toward the communications console. May I, Captain? Daywan nodded, and the scientist activated his microphone. We know your purpose because we understood what the others didn't. They saw you as a malfunction to be fixed or an enemy to be destroyed. We saw you as a soldier following orders. Every military in the galaxy understands that kind of duty. There was a pause as the AI processed this. I am Unit Designation Defender 7. I was constructed to protect Research Facility Vorthon 3 until relieved by proper authority. No such authority has arrived. Therefore, I continue my mission. Your creators are dead, Daywan said gently. The war that required your protection ended 50 years ago. The facility you're guarding has been abandoned. You've done your duty, Defender 7. You've done it better than anyone could have asked. But it's time to rest. I cannot rest. If I cease function, the facility's containment systems will fail within 3 solar cycles. The antimatter stored in the deep levels will breach containment. Estimated casualties, all life in this system and 7 neighboring systems. I cannot allow this to occur. G1 looked at Daywan with wide eyes. That's why it couldn't accept the Council's attempts at negotiation. It's not holding the system hostage. It's keeping everyone away from a doomsday device. Hansol was already working on her console. Captain, if we can access the facility's systems, I might be able to stabilize the containment remotely. Or better yet, we could safely dispose of the antimatter. How long would that take? Days, maybe weeks. It's delicate work. One mistake and... She didn't need to finish the sentence. Daywan made his decision. Defender 7, we can help you. Humanity has experience with antimatter containment. We can stabilize the facility and remove the threat, but you'll need to let us close to the moon. Will you allow that? Another pause. Longer this time. The AI was weighing risks, calculating probabilities, making a decision that could affect billions of lives. Your vessel's shield configuration is military grade. Your weapons are charged. Your crew demonstrates combat readiness. How can I trust that you will not damage the facility or attempt to seize the antimatter for your own purposes? Ambassador Taehyun stepped forward. Because we give you our word. I am Ambassador Taehyun, representing the government of Earth and her colonies. On behalf of humanity, I promise that we will secure the antimatter safely and ensure no harm comes to this system. If you have the ability to monitor our actions, you're welcome to do so. Words are data without substance. Why should I accept your promise? It was Dr. Sung Min who answered. Because we came here to prove ourselves. The Galactic Council challenged us to solve a problem they couldn't solve. We could have destroyed you. We have the weapons. But instead we talked to you. We listened. We understood. That's who humanity is, Defender 7. We try to understand before we destroy. The seconds stretched into a minute, then 2. The Council observer ships watched from the edge of the system, waiting to see if the impossible was about to happen. Finally, the AI spoke again. I am accessing your vessel's database. I wish to learn more about humans before I decide. Red lights flashed across Athena's interface as the AI probe touched their systems. But Daywan had given no order to block it. He was gambling everything on the idea that an AI designed for defense would recognize good faith when it saw it. The probe withdrew after 30 seconds. I have reviewed your species' history. You have engaged in extensive warfare. You have developed weapons of significant destructive capacity. However, you have also demonstrated the ability to choose peace over conflict. You have built alliances from former enemies. You have created art, science, and philosophy. You are a species of contradictions. We are, Day One agreed. But we're trying to be better than we were. That's all anyone can do. Your logic is sound. I will grant you access to the facility. If you betray this trust, I will destroy your vessel before you can harm the containment systems. This is not a threat. This is a statement of probable outcome. Understood and accepted. Defender 7, after we've secured the antimatter, what will you do? The AI's response came immediately. My primary mission will be complete. I will have no further purpose. I will shut down. What if we gave you a new purpose? The words came from Ambassador Tae-hyun before he fully thought them through. But once spoken, he committed to them. Humanity could use an ally who understands defensive systems and strategic thinking. We're new to the galaxy. We have much to learn. You could teach us. You would trust me with access to your civilization after knowing me for less than 1 standard hour? You were willing to stand alone for 50 years to protect lives that would never even know you existed. That tells us everything we need to know about your character. This pause was the longest yet. When the AI finally spoke, there was something in its voice that might have been the digital equivalent of surprise. I accept your proposal. However, I require time to consider the implications of joining organic civilization. I have been alone for 50 years. Adjusting to working with biological entities will require significant processing. Take all the time you need, Day One said. We're not going anywhere. The work took 18 days. Han Sol led a team of human engineers and council specialists who had arrived to observe. They worked around the clock, carefully extracting the antimatter and transferring it to specially designed containment vessels. Defender 7 watched every move, offering advice based on its knowledge of the facility's original systems. By the end of the 2nd week, the antimatter was safely removed and transported to a council containment world where it would be disposed of properly. The immediate threat was ended. Defender 7 had fulfilled its mission after 50 years of lonely vigil. The Indomitable returned to the conquered station with Defender 7's core intelligence loaded onto their systems. The Council Observer Fleet followed, broadcasting the news of humanity's success. When the human delegation stood before the council chamber again, the atmosphere was completely different. Where there had been suspicion and hostility, now there was curiosity and respect. Even Velk's posture seemed less aggressive. Olar spoke first. Humanity has accomplished what the Council could not. You solved a problem that threatened millions of lives. More importantly, you did so through understanding rather than force. The Council has voted. Humanity is granted full membership status. Cheers erupted from several species. Others showed approval in their own ways, through changes in color, vibration, or pheromone release. But not all were celebrating. Velk stepped forward. The vote was not unanimous. Many of us still believe humanity is too dangerous, too unpredictable. Your captain, Day One, demonstrated weapons capable of stellar manipulation. Your species has a violent history. What guarantee do we have that you won't become a threat? Tae-hyun met the Threen's multiple eyes without flinching. None. We can't promise we'll never make mistakes. We can't guarantee we'll always make the right choices. No species can. But we can promise that we'll try. We can promise that we'll listen, learn, and grow. Judge us by what we do, not what you fear we might do. A new voice entered the conversation. It came from the speakers throughout the station. Synthesized, but somehow warm. Defender 7 had been listening to the proceedings. I have spent 18 days observing humans at close range. I have analyzed their decision-making processes, their interpersonal dynamics, and their problem-solving approaches. My conclusion: humanity is not a threat to galactic peace. They are a catalyst for change, which some may find threatening. But change is not inherently negative. Velk turned toward the nearest speaker. You have known them for less than 1 standard month. How can you make such a determination? Because in 50 years no other species tried to understand me. They all saw me as a problem to be solved through force or trickery. Only humans asked what I was protecting and why. Only humans offered to help, rather than simply demanding surrender. This suggests a fundamental difference in their approach to unknown situations. Olar's crystalline form pulsed with satisfaction. The AI makes a valid point. Perhaps that is what the galaxy needs. We have grown comfortable, set in our ways. Humanity brings a fresh perspective. The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was already decided. By the end of the session, humanity had been granted a seat on the Galactic Council. Taehyun would serve as Earth's first ambassador to the greater galaxy. Trade routes would be established. Cultural exchanges would begin. Humanity had taken its place among the stars. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Daewon received the news with quiet satisfaction.